sourcing is a luck game. We're actually very lucky that AI are good at things that humans don't like to do and aren't good at. And the things that humans are good at, AI, I believe, will never be able to do. What AI does allow people to do is to 10x or even 100x your productivity in certain areas. I think sourcing is a very interesting part of supply chain that traditionally, even at very large organizations, there really isn't any system. A lot of it is through industry relationships, networks, finding a supplier at a trade show. So I think there's just so much possibility here. And I think second of all, I think the tariff situation already showed us how fragile the supply chain is today. So I think like the China diversification is something that will happen. And as more and more kind of supply chain professionals look for suppliers outside of China, I think there is a lack of a search engine in this space to help find suppliers globally. So Alibaba is kind of the website that everyone knows where you can search for suppliers. But if you think about it, most of the world's factories are not visible on any directory. So if I wanted to find a supplier in South Korea or in Vietnam, these countries don't have platforms like Alibaba. And as a result, finding manufacturers in those countries oftentimes is very difficult, or at least difficult to do digitally. A lot of it is you have to ask people like, hey, do you know any suppliers in this region? So I think AI unlocks a lot of that because we can aggregate a lot of this traditionally hard to aggregate data. So customs data, how do we leverage data from trade shows? How do we leverage data from Dun & Bradstreet? How do we leverage data from governments? And how do we merge all this data in a user experience that allows like non-techies to just describe what they want and have AI do the bulk of the work of searching through the world's factories and providing that information. We're actually very lucky that AI are good at things that humans don't like to do and aren't good at. And the things that humans are good at, AI, I believe, will never be able to do. There's a very complementary relationship. I'll give an example. So today, if you were to go to a supplier directory, like let's say you go to Alibaba and I show you a list of 1,000 factories. As a human, it's very hard for you to remember 1,000 factories in your head, right? If I give you 1,000 profiles and say, okay, based on those 1,000 profiles, I want you to rank which suppliers out of this 1,000 are the top 5 most fit and give me a reason for each 1,000. You could probably do it, but it will take you maybe a week or 2 weeks to go through every single 1,000, all 1,000 suppliers. And this is why a lot of times sourcing is a luck game. So without AI, a lot of times like the supplier you work with, you just happen to find it at some trade show or some relationship. But maybe there's a better supplier somewhere that you never got the chance to know. And even if you did find their information, you wouldn't have the time to vet them. So this is a use case where AI can look at millions of supplier profiles and provide reasoning in a matter of minutes that would take humans weeks, if not months, to go through all that information. So that's number one. But what's AI not good at is AI is good at summarization, right? It can provide kind of contextual evidence and say, hey, I think this supplier is a good match for you because of A, B, and C. But decision making is more nuanced than that. You might have additional follow-ups. You might have business specific needs that you need to tell the AI to say, okay, no, I need you to analyze it from this perspective. And that's something AI will never do because it doesn't have your business context. And even if it does have that ability, we would never give AI that permission because the stakes are too high. Choosing the wrong supplier, purchasing the wrong product could be millions of dollars of losses. And I don't think any business owner is going to, make that decision to the AI. I think what AI does allow people to do is to 10x or even 100x your productivity in certain areas. The areas that I feel most exciting are areas that are data heavy, areas where a lot of times you have to look at large volumes of data. And a lot of this data is unstructured.
Yeah. I agree. And I think historically, right, these agents that traveled through Vietnam, traveled through Asia, visit factories, and they would have all that knowledge about those vendors. And you would go to them, they would get a commission for every piece you buy from the vendor. And they would have basically a book of vendors for you because, like you said, there is no Alibaba in most countries. So the only way to find those vendors a lot of times is to be on the ground. If you wanted to get that information, if you wanted to work with those vendors, they were basically the gatekeepers of those vendors. You had to trust them at the same time. If they knew they had a higher commission with one vendor, they could steer you whichever way they wanted to. They might have known, hey, there's vendor A, vendor B. Vendor A has better quality, better pricing, but I get a higher commission with vendor B. Well, they're going to send you to vendor B.